As you're doing all the things you need to do in your doctoral study, like managing your project, learning your methodology, finding relevant literature, focusing your topic, and building your research plan, you also need to spend time on how you think. One of the most helpful things you can do is think about how you think. The best way to do this is to have a model for thinking, a framework, something that serves as a guide. Without a guide, it is way too easy to just get lost. A very useful thinking model is the Solow taxonomy. A guy named John Biggs put it together a number of years ago, and it helps us understand how we critically think and assess our thinking, apply our logical reasoning, so we can be sure we're heading in the right direction. The taxonomy has 5 levels. We use the word taxonomy because it means it is a structured approach. It means something that has been organized in a useful way. The first 2 levels are levels we want to get away from as quickly as possible. The first level is called pre-structural. Pre-structural means I really have no idea what the topic is, or my thoughts about the topic are totally irrelevant. Obviously, this is not what we want. Having no idea or no way to think about a topic is not going to help us. Before we move on, we are very specifically talking about how we think. This isn't about what we know. It is about how we think. We can think critically and use logical reasoning to understand what we know and what we don't know. As you work on your research study, you will come across all kinds of new things. These are all things of which you know very little or nothing at all. That is to be expected. The most important part of this is that even when you do not have detailed knowledge of a topic or concept, you must still be able to think about that topic in a critical and logical way. The second level is unistructural. Unistructural means I have some understanding of the topic, or I can acknowledge the topic, but I can only identify one relevant point within the topic. Clearly, these first 2 levels are not very critical approaches to thinking and solving problems. And remember, what you're doing as you do your research project is that you are a project manager solving all kinds of different problems. To be successful at this, you have to be able to use and develop your critical thinking. The next 3 levels are the ones we're really interested in. We're most interested in level 5, but let's move on to level 3. Level 3 is multistructural. Multistructural means we're able to identify and list out multiple relevant points within the topic. We're not necessarily making connections between those points yet, but we're identifying more than one of them. Here's an example. Say your study involves the impact of leadership on employees. You might quickly say, okay, impact of leadership on employees can be related to leadership competency, leadership capability, leadership development, styles of leadership, employee engagement, retention, productivity, positive organizational support, customer service, revenue, and delivering on mission. We could identify all those subtopics, and being able to do that puts us at level 3, multistructural. We've identified a number of points within the broad topic. Maybe we can do this off the top of our heads based on what we know, but many times we have to do this by doing some research, looking things up, and finding things out. But we have to do more than list out separate ideas. Our next challenge is to start making connections. When we're having conversations about our topic statements, problems, purposes, and gaps, alignment means we need to connect them and the ideas they represent. One of the big challenges with alignment across the various elements of your study is finding those connections. And one of the challenges within just the topic statement is that we can identify 2, 3, or 4 ideas that go into it, but we need to actually connect them. We want to push ourselves at a minimum to level 4, which is relational. We want to identify multiple relevant ideas and connect them. We need to understand how one causes the other, how one influences the other, how one reacts to the other, how 2 can work together to get us somewhere else. That's the key to the next level. Making connections is important, but using those connections to get us somewhere else is ultimately what we want. So ideally, we push ourselves to level 5, which is called extended abstract. Extended abstract means we're integrating our understanding of the relationships between these ideas and we're going somewhere new. The somewhere new is our gap. The gap is something that doesn't yet exist exactly the way you're looking at it. We've found a number of points. We've shown how they relate to each other. And we're extending the use of those relationships, connecting them so we can get to something new. When you push yourself through those top 3 levels, what you're really trying to do is compress everything you do with your study and say, boom, this is how it helps me understand, identify, and solve for the gap I found. This takes us to the question, how do we apply this? We're in a DBA program. Our focus is on application. The reason Level 5, Extended Abstract, is so important is that we're going to apply this in a new way, perhaps a way that hasn't been done before. We're going to use the relationships that already exist, and we're going to extend them into new territory. Our gap is that new territory. Go and develop your thinking. Think about your thinking. Push yourself to Level 5.